Patterson Foundation
strengthens people, organizations, and communities by focusing on issues that address mutual aspirations,
foster wide participation, and encourage learning and sharing.
All right, Cheri Coryea, welcome to the Patterson Foundation's Beyond the Blog podcast.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm happy to be here with you. It's great to see you.
It's great to see you, too. Well, first off, for those that don't know you, can you just go ahead and introduce yourself, Cheri?
Yeah. Hi, Cheri Coryea. I am a consultant with the Patterson Foundation, the initiative lead for the Aspirations to Action initiative and digital access for all, and enjoy working in all 4 counties here and also beyond the region.
Fantastic. Well, it's great to be here with you, Cheri. Thank you so much. As you know, I'm Andrew Spector, a fellow at the Patterson Foundation, and we're here to talk today about the upcoming book circles with Rich Harwood's new book, The New Civic Path. And we saw each other, I think it was just last week, at Rich's book signing at the Lakewood Ranch Library, June 16th. You were there. You spoke. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so very exciting. Book signing. The new book came out, and we decided to try to pull some people together. The Lakewood Ranch Library in Bradenton, Florida, out there is a new library branch, and so it was really exciting
Beautiful.
Be there. I had some history with that library branch when I was the county administrator with Manatee County. We brought that project to life, and so it was my first time being in the actual
That's so cool.
$20 million facility, and I'm so happy that it was there and well used. And we had a great turnout. Over 60 people showing up there to hear from Rich and to, talk to each other about their excitement in leading forward with reading the book. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I assume by now you've read the book. Is that right?
Yes, I have.
And you've been familiar with Rich and the Harwood Institute through your role with Aspirations to Actions for years now. But I'm curious, as you read the book, did you have sort of new takeaways, or what were your thoughts as you're reading through the book?
Yeah, you're right. My background with the Harwood Institute and the Patterson Foundation goes back to probably the early 2015 and meeting Rich and Deborah separately, and then Deborah Jacobs approaching me and asking if Manatee County would be a part of a Public Innovators Lab. And Rich brought his team of coaches to town, and we had 80 people at the convention center in Manatee County and spent 2.5 full days together. And it was inspiring because it was, Manatee and Sarasota County. And it really changed some of the way I think. And that was really weird because I've been in the human services business since all the way back about in the late 1980s. And but it really enforced, listening to what people are saying and what they're thinking and how they're feeling. And so this book, The New Civic Path, really solidified that, there's still the need to listen. There's still the need to, as we go around seeing more of people, now we see things more, right? We didn't used to see them without having YouTube and all the different newscasts and things, and the way people can see people in action. You kind of forget about talking to folks and, really listening in a session. And so I thought the book was really very personal to folks, very personal here to where we live. And I took it that way because I know Rich travels the country, but we work here. We work here, especially one-on-one. And so for me, I thought it was well on target for what I'm hearing people say about how they feel and what they believe about their community right now, and that we all need to work together as feeling, fearless, bringing all of our thoughts and feelings out so that we can share and kind of understand where our communities are and, move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the things that hit me hardest when I was reading the book was, and I'd read the Harwood Institute's report months, maybe it was years ago at this point, on how political polarization is a misdiagnosis. But it hit different when I was reading the book, and he really talked about how it's not political polarization necessarily. It's actually a feeling of isolation and loneliness and anxiety, and that's what we feel. We feel separated from each other. And it just, so reading the book, it made me, that hit different. And I felt like, oh yeah, I felt more seen.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you said that because you reminded me, and you hate to bring COVID-19 up again, but I mean, that really drew people back in, right? Even more. And so getting out of that, is what we're seeing. We're seeing people come out of it some sooner than others. I mean, in the book, it talks about this is kind of messy work, and it is messy, but it's, it's good to help to try to reverse some of the thought process of negativity and just learn to be around each other again.
Absolutely. So obviously we both agree that there's value in reading this book and about putting Harwood principles into action through Aspirations to Actions and the work that we're doing, particularly in DeSoto, but we've been doing for several years throughout our 4-county area. So we're putting together these book circles that are launching in
mid-July.
Yeah. So what are the book circles and why are we doing them?
So, the book circles really are important, especially the fact that TPF is, we're going to lead those. We're going to provide a facilitator from our organization to help bring people together, basically so folks can have the space and time to talk and not worry about all the planning and what it takes to get there. But the book circles are a place both in person and virtual for small groups to gather, usually anywhere between 6 to 10 people in a group. Gives them about an hour and a half to share their thoughts. It's not meant for people to go bowling forward and read the whole book and get ready at the first book circle. There'll be 3 for each one of the sessions. And the neat thing is that it'll be an opportunity for a guided book circle, meaning, read the first 5 or 6 chapters. We're going to come back and discuss those. We help folks with some sort of guided questions to get people talking, but it's really about folks sharing, just like you and I were, about how we felt about what we read in the book that Rich put together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so these book circles, they sort of are situated within a larger sort of framework for TPF it's not the first time that we've done book circles at the Patterson Foundation. I know before, particularly through the Suncoast campaign for Great Little Reading, most recently, we had the When You Wonder You're Learning book circles, and the idea was to foster wide participation around this kind of shared aspiration of experiential learning in our 4-county area. And so now we're doing these book circles. Can you talk a little bit more about your aspirations for when people participate in this? What are your hopes for what they walk away with?
Yeah. So, in these book circles, what we'll find, and you're right, they'll be regionally located, all 4 counties, Sarasota, Manatee, DeSoto, and Charlotte County. There'll be an opportunity for people to be in book circles that, might be geographically located for them, or possibly they'll want to join a different book circle to hear what other people are talking about. But when you say experientially learning, it's kind of taking folks from their community and the things they do day to day and relating it to how they feel about their civic path. And so it's a good spot for folks to be really sharing how they feel right now, how they feel about each step in what they're reading in the book, about could they initiate some positive change? Are there actionable, doable items that they can do in their community, in their neighborhood, in their family, in their circle of friends? I mean, there's really not a limit here to how you utilize the skill set that you have once you've gone through the book circle. And by having those other folks in the book circle, you're definitely going to get some different opinions about things. And it's how you navigate that. How do you navigate civic culture? How you navigate hearing about what other people have to say, considering it in your everyday life, and then how, if any, does it change the way you feel about your path forward for those, for your community or whomever you're working with?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you talk about the different opinions. So is this intended to be sort of like a debate club where people come up and say, like, this is what I think, this is what you think, let's argue and get to an answer, or is it about something else?
Actually, not really, right? It's even though it may sound like it because it's about your civic path, it's really not meant to be a debate about, whether I'm on the left, I'm on the right, I'm in the middle, I think this way, I think that way. It's really more about how you really feel about your aspects of your civic culture. When you're in your organization, when you're in your community, your family, your circle of friends, how do you accept or feel about how they feel about where they're at in the community? It's like a hard thing to really put your finger on, which is why I think TPF does such a great job about making a space available for people to come together so that they can have real thoughts and they can explore how they feel about the civic culture, what their beliefs are, what the community is doing. Everybody's got opinions, and there are a lot of opinions that lean politically right now, but that's not really what the book circles are about. They're really more about coming together to be able to understand and learn what each other's feelings are, and then really about fostering that wide participation and moving forward with shared aspirations. So, like, what do you really want to have in your community? What do you want to have? And can we get there together? Can we do this together? Is there a way to bring other people on board? And so it's really very inclusive about moving forward and not really staying in the moment.
Yeah. I really appreciate how you put that, because I think it can sometimes feel like a subtle difference, but it's really a big one. That instead of it's like, yeah, here's what I think about this policy, or you think about it's like actually, it's like, how do we feel together in this moment, and what are our aspirations for what we want for our community, and we can come together around those common values and aspirations, and then in doing so, the sort of maybe superficial divides that we feel, they can sort of fade away when we come together around those
and they do. I think one of the things, that one of the tenets that we have at TPF is change happens at the speed of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what even the book circles are really about, is to create like a trusted environment where people can feel comfortable. I know you might be meeting new people immediately, but by the third time you're together, you've actually created some trust. And then how do you work together in the future? And then how do you spread that out in your community? Because this is all about spreading the ability for you to work in your community. And it doesn't really have a stopping point, right? And it continues like you're mentioning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So how do I sign up?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we are doing a tremendous amount of outreach, but people can go to the Patterson Foundation's website, which is probably the easiest way to sign up. On our main page, you can click on the New Civic Path book. Mm-hmm. The visual is right there. It'll take you to a form to complete, ask you a few questions about how to reach you, of course, because we got to know how to get you on board, what community you live in based on the county, but you can pick other areas, different types of times or things that you want to do. And there is an orientation session. So, some people really don't want to jump all in right away. Like, oh, I want to be in a book circle. I don't really care what it's about. But some people really want to know what it's about. And so on July 15th, there's actually a session that'll be an information session to give people more details about how it all works, how it's facilitated. It'll help them kind of guide them to selecting different options, whether they want to do that in person, whether they want virtual. And then if you do participate in the July 15th information session, then you'll have an opportunity then to move forward with signing up with a book circle. However, if you're ready and you say, I'm all in anyway, I'm ready to get started, then you can go ahead and sign up for a book circle. And one of the things that's great about it is the Patterson Foundation is going to provide you with the book. Nice. Right away, so you can sort of get started, and then you will meet a skilled facilitator who will get started with your book circle.
Great.
Yeah.
And who's the right person to participate in a book circle? If I'm listening to this, how do I know if I'm the right?
Well, I'm going to say anyone's the right person. However, most likely you're going to be someone who is not going to be concerned about sharing your feelings, or at least listening, and then finding an opportunity to share how you feel about where you're at in your civic culture of your community. Could be someone who is either who participates in things in their community. So like maybe you're already a part of a group or an organization and you want to have your conversations with that group. You want to create your own book circle. That's another thing that we can do. We can say, okay, if you'd like your own organization, say you've got a book club already, or you've got a once a month meeting that you go to at your homeowners association, and you're lacking really solid conversation piece, you could actually ask us and we'll help you get together one of the book circles, and you could have that conversation in that environment, especially if you think it would make a difference to the work that you're doing, or if you would rather do it among people that you think might have the ability to dig a little deeper And so any book circle, there's going to be a variety of them, and it's going to be a fun time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So maybe as a last question, or potentially last question, so these book circles, they're one of many things that the Patterson Foundation does around Harwood and Aspirations to Actions. Could you sort of situate it for folks of,
Yeah.
you know, what role is this as part of the larger strategy and vision and the work that you and TPF does with that?
Yeah, so the Patterson Foundation, for those people who want to really, know a little bit more, at any given time has, over 25 different initiatives that are active, that have various reach within the 4-county area and beyond, because we also work nationally and are connected, and especially with this particular initiative, by working directly with the Harwood Institute for Public Innovation. We share, the belief about working in communities across the country, and then we work here and how we share what's happening here and make sure that, they're aware of how they might be able to use that across the other areas that they're working in. But let's just say with the Aspirations to Action initiative, obviously we're here to strengthen people, organizations, communities, to foster wide participation, but really around shared quality of life aspirations. So it's a work within bringing people together. And the Aspirations to Action initiative is really one of the TPF initiatives that works across to all initiatives, because even the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, Suncoast Remake Learning Days, Patriot Plaza, all of those are really about people's aspirations to do good and to come together. And so being able to have work that works within community, that works with people directly, that creates that space, a safe space for people to come together and learn and share and connect, is really the aspect of what TPF's all about. We always are working hard to try to find those little nuggets that we can share knowledge and expertise and then share that out. And so Aspirations to Action does a lot of that. Right now, I'll mention too, Andrew, and you know about this, but others listening might not. We have a specific project in DeSoto County right now where we're working directly with the Harwood Institute to create that civic change there. We're in about a year and a half into the project. We just recently had a workspace that was a connection from a public innovators lab that we had in January. And we have 1,000 people and more that are participating in all that work, but they're working together across all different geographical locations in DeSoto, different backgrounds. It could be government, it could be business, it could be education, a variety, faith-based organizations. There's 72 churches in DeSoto County, and so there's a strong faith community, but are they all working together? Are they working for shared aspirations? So that's why this type of book circle and this type of book really create that opportunity for communities like DeSoto to think a little bit deeper about how they can look at their own civic issues and come together.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Cheri.
Yeah.
Before we close out, anything else you want to elevate about the book circles, Aspirations to Actions, anything?
Yeah,
else
I
people
just
should know?
really encourage people to, those of you that have done book circles before, like when we did Getting Started, we did some book circles then. You also mentioned the SCGLR book that was done book circles. But beyond that, people that haven't, I think that's where this particular book allows people in the community that haven't necessarily been involved in a specific initiative of TPF to kind of grow their ability to learn how their civic faith can impact what's happening. It can give them hope. It can give them a way of being able to share with others, meet other people, but really dig deeper into how they plan on moving forward in their community and moving forward personally about how they participate in their community. So we really encourage people to do them. If you haven't done a book circle, it's really just 3 sessions. It's about 3 hours of work together. And of course, reading the book.
Also about 3
Sure.
hours, maybe less.
Yeah, a little bit less possibly. Could be a little bit more
Could be a little
depending on your session. It could also lead to more work that you might want to do with others in the community, people that you meet. And so it's just kind of a fun way of getting together. The virtual ones will be nice because folks they'll be at different times, provided by different facilitators. And Andrew, I should mention that while we're starting the book circle opportunities in July, a little bit later in July after the 15th, they'll go all the way until November. So don't worry. If you're listening to this podcast a month or 2 months from now, there'll still be an opportunity to sign up for book circles, because we will be having them all the way through November. And we obviously would be glad to add some if we need to.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Cheri. Really appreciate you being here. Last thing is just pattersonfoundation.org. You can click right there. You can sign up for a book circle, and of course, reach out if you have any questions.
Absolutely can. And you'll get this opportunity to have the book, and you'll get an opportunity to read it. And then one last thing about the book circles that might intrigue folks is that as a group, when the book circle participants attend those 3 sessions, at the last session, as a group, the Patterson Foundation will be offering a $300 pay it forward for each book circle group that's eligible to select one nonprofit organization that's part of the giving partner here in the community to give a $300 pay it forward. So it's kind of a neat way to be a philanthropist and to be a part of giving back by participating your time and your talents and your thoughts, and then to be able to work together as a group to select one organization. And so that's on behalf of the Patterson Foundation, we really appreciate that kind of incentive, but also that kind of belief that everyone can be a philanthropist.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Cheri. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.